You answer every text, don't you? You're always on call. You've worked hard to become the most reliable person anyone knows, a constant presence in everyone's digital world. So, why do you feel so invisible? Why in this state of nonstop contact do you feel more drained, more distracted, and more disconnected from your own life than ever? It's like you've become a ghost in your own story, always present for others, but hauntingly absent for yourself. Well, there's a 19th century philosopher who saw this exact problem coming. He knew that your constant availability isn't a virtue, it's a trap, a cage you've built for yourself with the bars of convenience and the lock of social expectation. And Friedrich Nietzsche is about to explain why it's slowly, quietly killing your spirit. We live in a world that worships connection. We carry these little devices that promise us a global village, a network of endless support. But for so many of us, that promise has curdled into a demand. You're not just able to be reached, you're expected to be. That silence between messages, it's no longer a peaceful pause. It's a problem that needs solving. Your attention has become a public utility, and your time is a resource for anyone else to claim. You've basically become a human notification center. Every ping, every buzz, every little red bubble is a summons, pulling you out of your life and into someone else's agenda. Your shoulders are tight, your eyes are strained from the blue light, but you keep scrolling, keep responding. It's a digital treadmill you can't seem to step off of. We wanted connection, but we found a maze of distraction. We wanted community, but we got crushed by the weight of endless, low-stakes social maintenance. And that's the great paradox. The more available we become to the world, the less available we are to ourselves. Nietzsche, with incredible foresight, saw this illness of modernity long before the tech showed up. He saw a world becoming obsessed with speed, noise, and the opinion of the crowd. A world where taking time for deep thought would be seen as a waste. He wrote that people were starting to think with a watch in one's hand, living as if they might miss out on something. Doesn't that just perfectly capture the frantic, anxious energy that keeps us glued to our screens? That fear of missing out that is, ironically, causing us to miss out on our own lives? This state of being isn't a strength. It isn't a sign of how important you are. From a Nietzschean point of view, it's a symptom of a massive loss of power, a willing surrender of the one thing you truly own, your sovereign self. To get the true cost of your availability, you have to understand one of Nietzsche's biggest ideas, the difference between master morality and slave morality. Master morality, he said, is for the strong, the noble, the person who directs their own life. This person creates their own values. They act and define good based on what affirms their own power, their own creativity, and their own life. Their goodness comes from a surplus of strength. Slave morality is the opposite. It's born from weakness, resentment, and being oppressed. It's purely reactive. Instead of creating its own values, it defines good as the opposite of its masters. The master is powerful, so the slave values being meek. The master is independent, so the slave values community independence. It's a morality that praises qualities like patience, humility, and sympathy, not because they are inherently noble, but because they make the powerless easier to manage. It's the logic of the flock. Stay together, don't stand out, and you won't get picked off by the wolf. The highest good becomes survival through conformity. It doesn't ask what is great. It asks what is safe, what is harmless, what helps everyone else. Now look at your phone. Look at your inbox. This always-on culture is the ultimate expression of a modern slave morality. In this system, your value isn't measured by your own projects, your own deep thoughts, or your inner life. No, your value is measured by your responsiveness. Your worth is your speed of reply. You're considered good when you're immediately useful to the network, when you drop what you're doing for the demands of others. You are rewarded for serving the needs of the collective digital herd. You're not the creator of your day, you're just a reactor within it. Each notification is a tiny master, and with every immediate response, you're training yourself to obey. This, Nietzsche would warn, is how you lose your autonomy. You aren't living, you are being lived. You become a function, a node in a system, instead of a force of nature in your own right. Nietzsche knew the human spirit could be overwhelmed. He saw the deadening effect of too much stimulation. He'd argue our nervous systems simply weren't built for the non-stop bombardment of digital life. Think of your focus, your willpower, and your creativity as a finite resource. Every time you're pulled away from what you're doing to answer a trivial text, to scroll a feed, to react to an email that could have waited, you're spending that precious currency. You are leaking power. It's not a dramatic, sudden end. It's a quiet erosion, a slow fading of your sharpest self. Each buzz, each ping, is a tiny paper cut on your attention span. One doesn't hurt, 1,000 will leave you bleeding out your capacity for deep work, deep connection, and deep thought. This constant fragmentation of your attention makes it impossible to achieve anything great, or even just to feel deeply satisfied. Nietzsche warned against the man of the moment, the person so consumed by the day's tiny distractions that they can never grow deep roots. Constant availability turns all of us into people of the moment. We just skim across the surface of life, never plunging into the depths. You can't write a book in 2-minute breaks between emails. You can't solve a complex problem when you're being constantly interrupted. You can't even get to know yourself in a state of perpetual distraction. This leads to a unique kind of modern nihilism. Not the nihilism of despair, but the nihilism of triviality. A life filled with constant motion, but no direction. Endless communication, but no meaning. Your calendar is full, your inbox is busy, but your soul feels empty. It is a slow, comfortable death of the spirit, death by 1,000 notifications. So what's the antidote? How do we break these chains we've put on ourselves? Nietzsche gives us an ideal, not as a final goal, but as a direction. The Übermensch, or Overman. The Übermensch isn't some superhero. It's a human being who has become the master of themselves, the one who has overcome the herd mentality and learned to create their own values. And the very first value a modern person must create is the value of their own unavailability. To think, to create, to become who you actually are, you need one thing above all else: solitude. Nietzsche wrote, "I need solitude," which is to say, recovery, return to myself, the breath of a free, light, playful air. For him, solitude wasn't emptiness. It was the workshop of the spirit. It's the sacred space where you can finally hear your own voice over the deafening noise of the world. In a world that celebrates the herd, choosing solitude is a revolutionary act. It can feel terrifying at first. The silence can be loud, ringing with all the things you've been using distraction to avoid. But this is the necessary trial. You must walk through that initial discomfort to find the clarity on the other side. To be a creator, you first have to be a ruthless protector of your own attention. You have to be willing to be deaf to the world so you can finally listen to yourself. This isn't a call to be selfish. It's a call for self-preservation. It's recognizing that your greatest service to the world isn't your immediate reply, but the cultivation of your deepest talents and insights. And that requires space. So start by scheduling unavailability. Carve out sacred hours where you are simply unreachable. Phone off, internet disconnected. Let there be a space where the only person who can claim your attention is you. And in that space, don't just consume, create, write, build, think, walk. Do the hard thing that requires unbroken focus. Reframe what availability means. Don't see it as a virtue. See it as a precious and limited resource that you must guard. Every yes to an external demand is a no to an internal possibility. Choose your yes like a dragon guarding its gold, because your attention is your treasure. If this idea hit home, like this video to help it find other people who feel trapped in this cycle. And in the comments below, share one small way you're going to reclaim your unavailability this week. Your story might be the spark that helps someone else build their own fortress of solitude. Take that first step. Your attention is your power. Your focus is your freedom. Being always available is just a modern form of servitude, where you willingly hand over your most valuable asset. Reclaiming your unavailability is the first, most critical step back to a self-directed, self-created, and truly meaningful life. Remember Nietzsche's own words: the value of a thing sometimes lies not in what one attains with it, but in what one pays for it, what it costs us. The cost of constant availability is yourself. Don't sell it so cheaply.